Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right. Good evening and welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring entrepreneurs and women-owned businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, and CEO and founder of the Women's Small Business Initiative, LLC, and an award-winning author. And welcome to another night of sharing. With us, we have Tiffani Teachey. Tiffani is a science, technology, engineering, and math STEM advocate who strives to educate young children and parents about the importance of STEM, careers, and representation in those industries. She is the award-winning author of the children's book, What Can I Be? STEM Careers from A to Z, available in Spanish, French, and Swahili, coloring and activity book, Teacher's Guide. She also wrote 2 women empowerment books. Tiffani has a passion for inspiring the next generation to engage in STEM careers. She is also a member of the Society of Children's Books, Writers, and Illustrators, SCBWI, and enjoys traveling and being a youth mentor. So without further ado, please help and welcome to my platform, Miss Tiffani Teachey. Hey, Tiffani, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it is my pleasure, and I'm so excited to talk about STEM. You are first, and I'm just loving this, the first individual that is going to talk more about science, technology, and engineering and math. So this is exciting for me, and I think it's going to be extremely exciting for our listeners and who can also pass this on. I'm hoping that they'll have their children listen in because you are doing something very inspiring. So before we dive into this interview, though, please tell the listeners a little bit more about who Tiffani Teachey really is.
All right. So thank you so much. My name's Tiffani Teachey. I am originally from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I have a undergrad in mechanical engineering, and then I have a master's in engineering management. So I am a senior mechanical engineer. I've been about 17 years in the industry. And so I just enjoy encouraging more to see themselves in these types of careers, especially as a female, African-American female in the industry itself, in male-dominated fields. So this is what encourages me because I'm going through it and gone through it. And so I just wanted to see more in it. So this is just a little bit about me and where I'm from.
Well, I tell you what, like I said, you're inspiring me just having the opportunity to conversate with you about this importance about, striving in this type of career because, you're right. Women are still in that background, and I'm sure you have gone through and can definitely share your story with us today about what you have gone through. So let's dive into that a little bit. Being that you are in this type of career, talk a little bit about some of the pressures and stresses that you've had to go through, and not just about standing out, but being respected in this type of industry.
Okay. Well, just to start off, I actually grew up with 2 parents, with one being an educator and the other one being an entrepreneur. They encouraged me and my brother. My brother's also, he's a civil engineer. I'm mechanical. But they instilled in us the value of education and hard work. And so we had to actually start off with going to Math and Science Saturday Academy. And so from there, that's what encouraged us to go into problem solving, doing that. And so knowing that this was a male-dominated field, going to school and sitting in the classrooms was the start of it. But let me backtrack. Growing up in math classes, I was that one in the front, the curious girl asking the questions and challenging the teacher, especially in math class. But those boys, you had to deal with the boys that sit there. And a lot of them didn't even know what they didn't know it themselves. So I knew that I could be anything I wanted to be. And initially I wanted to be a lawyer, but that's where I decided engineering was it. And so going and sitting in the classrooms was where I had to deal with it in college. And I just knew that I was making a difference as well with going into this career. I didn't know what type of engineer I wanted to going into it, but with the intro to engineering class, that's what got me to be mechanical, which was the broadest of them all. And so I did deal with some challenges of just being that it wasn't as many females in the classroom, and then graduating and going into the career, into the professional. it was male dominated. I've dealt with situations where I've walked into a room or a conference room, and for example, a vendor would shake hands with every male in the room, and then wouldn't shake hands with me. And so when I walk in there, I'm like, whoa, my name's Tiffani. I would reach over the table, shake his hand, say, my name's Tiffani. I'm the responsible engineer on this project. And basically, we're going to decide if we're going to use his equipment or not, if we want to use his parts. And so sometimes, and it shook them a little bit, but sometimes you have to kind of put your feet down and stand your ground, because I earned my degree. I earned where I am. And so that's where you say the respect level happens, where you got to let them know, hey, I'm just as competent, I'm just as capable as a female to be able to handle this career. And so it's still a work in progress, but I still make sure that they know my capability and my competency when it comes to engineering itself.
Well, yeah, like you said, I mean, the sad part about it is that we have to, like you did, had to stretch your arm out and say, hey, this is who I am, and it's that constant thing where even, for years, they didn't want to convince and weren't willing to have young girls learn about math. They had this thing of, oh, well, women can't learn it like men can. Okay, really? And of course, as we know throughout the years, we know that's a bunch of nonsense that doesn't even exist. Yep. But we're still constantly having to break these glass ceilings, as they call them, to allow people to learn how to respect us for what we have accomplished, what we do, and that our capabilities are really no different than anybody. It doesn't shouldn't have to be about whether you're a man or a female, but it's that stigma. That constant stigma that's there, and it is still there. And like you said, that, you still have to deal with on occasions, but you are breaking ground no matter what that situation is. And you have earned that right. And so talk about, how and why it's so important to you about educating the youth and understanding about STEM as a whole.
Right. So as stated, I have the engineering. I'm all about engineering. So a lot of times we're asked to go into the classroom and go talk to the kids, which I enjoy definitely doing. And so I always start out with, raise your hand if you've met an engineer. And a lot of hands haven't been, they're not raising it. But by the time we've done hands-on activities, I presented how engineering is fun. And then I've shown that. I asked that same question at the end, who's met an engineer? And then all hands should go up.
Right.
And so that's what really encouraged me to say, okay, representation matters. A lot of them can now see that they can be this kind of career. They can be in these STEM careers, and they look just like them. And so that's what empowers me. It really empowers me, really, when I go talk to these kids. And then when they get older and I've seen them and then I actually run into them, and then they say, oh, I remember when you came and talked to me or something like that, and they've become in those fields. They become an engineer. They're a leader in organizations such as National Society of Black Engineers, and just seeing them in Society of Women Engineers and seeing that I made an impact, I think it's really what pushes me to encourage the kids, because a lot of them haven't seen anybody that looks like them that could be in these careers. A lot of them haven't been exposed to it. And so that's what empowers me to try to encourage a lot of these youth that aren't getting exposed to it. And early on is really what's key. If we can capture them early on, I think that's really going to be helpful.
Right. And you're absolutely right that it's having that opportunity to see what exists, because, if you don't know it and you don't see it, you're never going to think about it. You may see it or they may hear it on TV, but it's not the same, because it's not real to them until it's actually standing in front of them. And what you're doing is absolutely important, to keep children involved. And so here you are, an award-winning author. Talk about your book. What can I be? STEM careers from A to Z. So tell us a little bit about that.
Right. So in a segue, when I said I talked to the kids and a lot of them haven't said it, I said, why don't I put it in writing? And so that's what pushed me to say, okay, I want to be an author. What do I want to tie it in with? So if my love is with the kids, my love is with STEM, why not put it in writing? And so came up with the book. I didn't know when I was going to write it, but I saw a challenge on Facebook, Crystal Swan Bates, and it was like, how to get your best-selling book in 5 days, that whole thing. And so I learned how to be a self-published author and create my book. And so from there, I learned that and was able to create the What Can I Be? STEM Careers from A to Z. It's got the STEM crew kids, 6 kids, diverse kids, different races, ethnicities, and gender. And they just walked from A is for astronaut all the way to Z is for zoologist. And I could have did a book on all engineering, but I said, nah, let me do different ones. And so it was tough coming up with the letters because there's so many things that I could have done. But there were some tough ones too. Now, Y was a hard one. Y, I was like, oh goodness. But I did yacht designer for that one. So, but, I mean, you talk about doctor, nurse, and now some tough words, kinesiologist, but it's challenging the parents as well to now engage them into the conversation for the kids, and so they can continue on to learn about those careers.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That was smart how you did that, because it's not just, hey, you sit down and color and look at it and be like, ooh, this is pretty. You're literally making people think, research it, understand it. What does this word really mean to you? Because you didn't choose typical words. You definitely provided something in that book that will open the mindset and that curiosity. And kids are all about being curious, right? They'll have a million questions after they say, well, what does this mean? And why are we doing this? Right. So yeah, that was pretty neat. So talk to me about your other two books you have. You said they're in women empowerment books. So give us some information about that.
Right. And let me go back. But the age group for the book, the children's book, was 5 to 8 year olds, K through 2. So that's the age group for that. And then for this women empowerment, I ended up doing an anthology book where I collaborated with some women, and in both of those. And so the first one was Saving Lives While Fighting for Minds, Stories to Empower Women to Win. And we all tell our stories. It's about 11 of us, and we each tell our stories about various subjects. My particular one in the chapters I'm in is with dealing with discrimination. And so, of course, telling my journey, and trying to encourage more girls and women to go into STEM and how they can be able to overcome and be overcomers. And so the other book that I participated in was another group of ladies, and it was called Pretty, Paid, and Powerful, 40 Days to Empower the Woman Within. And it's a reflection, 40 days. And so I have a piece in there too. So these were just collaborative, and each of us, once again, tell our stories or try to encourage more women to see themselves as far as encouragement and empowering them. So I said, let me take part in these women empowerment, because I am making a difference as well as girls, as well as women. And so it's been empowering just to have that as an option. Now I will say I love the kids. But I'm thankful for that opportunity to be able to be a part of women empowerment books. So I have 2 of them that I also take part in.
Right. And yeah, it's important. Like I said, though, these kids, they don't, they're not going to understand what empowerment means until they can, like I said, physically see it. And obviously they're not going to always be able to meet you. So having these books, even if it's just that snippet in each one of those women empowerment books, it's something for them to think about. It's something for them to reach to and inspire to. And like I always talk to people, on my shows, and we're always talking about inspiration. There's more than about inspiration than just somebody telling you how to do it. What are you saying and what are you doing to make that person step up to the plate and do something for themselves? Because we all have our own passions, but it's trying to bring those passions out. But like we were talking earlier, when you were talking about the fact that these children didn't even know or really understood, had they ever seen an engineer before, nobody puts their hands up because it's not visible. But when we all make something visible to anybody, it becomes a reality, right? So, you have stepped into something, like I said, that I have not heard a lot about when it comes to trying to get people to come out of their comfort zone and trying to learn something more. Because a lot of times when we're focusing on careers, we don't focus on careers that we look at that we say sometimes that can be pushed out into a different type of entrepreneur type process, and when you think about STEM, I don't think anybody has looked at it and said, well, we can go this direction, we can go that direction. Because, when you talk about careers, people kind of limit themselves sometimes on careers. It's usually, and especially sometimes in our communities, it's always about, in the Black community, well, you go, you get education, go get a job. Well, what is it about the change and the things that we want to do differently in our careers? And it's okay to have a career. I'm all for that. I have a career and I have a business. But, being different and unique to me is what's most important. And we have to stop doing that conformity analysis and attitude in order to be able to move forward. So, what else is your thought process in when it comes to these type of careers? What steps would you give advice to if there is a child or anybody who's listening saying,
Right.
hey, maybe I want to go this direction, but I just didn't know how.
Right. And a lot of times we push kids to go to college. You got to go to a 4-year school. You got to go to a 4-year school. And a lot of times that doesn't have to be the case. We're pushing trades. I mean, you can find some great trades. You can go to a community college and work your way to a 4-year. I mean, there's so many, and use those careers to be able to then take the stepping stone to get to the additional careers. But you don't have to go the traditional route is also another avenue too. You can get a trade. A lot of these careers from computers, coding, like all of that kind of stuff, you can start getting certifications, all of that to help build your resume, build your portfolio. Like these kids, if they wanted to, I talk to a lot of the high schools too. I say, where's your resume? You can already start building it before you get to college. What activities, what programming, what different things, summer programs, what are things you're doing that you can take part in and start building it? And so those are the kind of things, if you take part in job shadowing earlier on, I push that a lot too with the kids. Go sit, and if it's a career maybe you might not know about or want to be interested in, go sit under somebody, go do some research, go learn about it, but go find somebody that's local that might be in that career. Go job shadow them. And so there's a lot of ways you can try to pursue it. It's all about just getting the resources, getting access, opportunity, knowledge. That's what I push, exposure, as far as what they need in order to get to that level. And so that would be what I would say would be the great pathway if you was to do it, to get some exposure, to get to that point. And then the entrepreneurship side, like who would have thought? Business, like I said, I was around my father who was an entrepreneur, and so he pushed the value of hard work. And so by me becoming an author, I'm also showing that these kids, I mean, let me tell you, also talking to these kids, they get to see that they can be an author. Exactly. I mean, I'm a STEM author. I use my career and I tied in a book at the same time. And so they get to see that. It's amazing when I see a kid, a young girl, I'm doing book signings, and then the big sister's like, y'all don't understand. She is the author. Like, she's telling them,
right?
Like, y'all gotta understand. Yeah, and she's so empowered and trying to tell the younger girls, her siblings. And so at the end, one of them came back and said, "Thank you so much for being in the book." And so it's just like empowering to see that they can also see themselves be writers as well, which is a business. This is a business itself. So,
exactly.
So the sky's the limit. And I just encourage the kids that they can be anything. And there's so many ways and paths and avenues that they can get to it. So.
Right. You're absolutely right. And that's, I'm going to touch back on what you're talking about is being a fellow author and self-publishing author as well, is that it's important for people to understand that what you have done is that you've taken your expertise and you put it in a book. And that's where people, can realize that, hey, like you said, you can have that career, but you can also have that entrepreneurship. And I'm always beating people over across the head, making them understand that when you become an author, you are running a business because you're not doing this for free, And so there's a cost for everything. And, just getting people to realize that process, sometimes it doesn't really sink in sometimes. So when you're hearing it in this aspect and people are listening to your story and they're being, their mindset is opening up a little more, saying, oh, you know what, she's right. Because, you, like you said, you have earned that right. You have strived and you have done the work that comes with that process of earning those degrees and working in this industry. And now here you have taken all of that and have moved it into educating young children and their parents, and then have taken all of that you have done throughout the years of what you have learned and have put it in a book, and not just one, you have shared your experiences in 3 books. So it's very important for people to understand who are listening that this can be you. It can just spark something out of you that you didn't even know you had. Because I'm sure that you didn't sit back and say, I'm going to be an author one day. Because those are sometimes the things we just don't always think about until it hits you at that moment that, you know what, I'm talking to these kids and now I'm going to do something else for them so they can really understand why I do what I do and where and what they can become. Right.
That's it. That is it right there.
So yeah, you have to definitely be very proud of yourself, and because this is really too a topic when I think about it. When you have topics like this, it's not the most exciting per se. It's not something that everybody's going to sit down and want to talk about. So be able to really, truly gain their interest and truly get people to realize the importance of what it is to get an education, but get an education in something that you love and something that you can truly learn. And what you are also doing is being able to give back to the community in a different way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's what I do anyway. I'm all about paying it forward. Shirley Chisholm, that's my she-ro. I got 2 quotes from her. The first one is, well, the one that really was the thing is, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring your folding chair. She says that. And then the service is the rent we pay for the privilege of living here on earth. And so that's why I do what I do, because I'm here to serve. And that's what it's about, paying it forward, because somebody else paid the way for me to be where I am today. And so I can't do anything but just make sure that I'm doing that in return. And so that's why I do what I do as well.
Well, absolutely. You are absolutely right. You know, there had to be somebody else that you could, stand on their shoulders. And then guess what? Somebody's going to be standing on top of yours as well. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're paying it forward. You're giving people that opportunity to think outside the box. And I think, we definitely need to see more of that. And especially in this type of career, like I said, we're still dealing with the fact that women aren't being seen enough, even though we're there. Like I said, you got to keep extending that arm. And one day you should not have to constantly extend that arm. They should be extending it to you. So
there you go.
You know what? That's my attitude about it.
Right. Instead of bringing the folding chair, go ahead.
Exactly. And it's the same concept with if they don't get invited to the table, like I tell people, even if you don't need to have a chair sit up, to just create your own. You already done that, and that's who you are, and that's what you're sharing with these young people, is that it's not about sitting at somebody else's table, because all you're going to do is they're feeding you, but you're going to make them full. So it's time. It's time for you to feed yourself and fulfill your options in life. And that's what you do. When your passion is there, you're giving these kids that passion, and your continued growth will continue to make other people, just blossom, because that's what it's about, So what you're doing, I think is phenomenal, because this is really, truly a hard topic of discussion to have, because we don't hear it all the time. We don't sit back and, I want to talk about math today, or science. And even though they're the most interesting, truly interesting topics to have to communicate about, because you can learn so much more about everything that surrounds you and the beauty of our world and how it's built, and all the pieces that truly do come together. So, I'm sitting over here excited, because I'm like, wow, this young lady right here, like, girl, you touched the nerve. Okay.
Love it. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's all about making it fun. I mean, at the end of the day, we making a difference, and that's why I do what I do every day, because I'm making a difference. So yes, it's not the fun as far as making it all fun, but it's all about making sure they know that you're making a difference with what you're doing. And so the passion, all of that is the key. And if they see the passion in it and being genuine about it, I think it's the biggest thing. And that's what I'm about. I love what I do.
Right.
So, love to share it.
Absolutely. Well, all right. So tell us where we can purchase your books. So, we definitely want to be connected that way. So tell the listeners how they can find those books. Okay.
Well, as stated, my name is Tiffani Teachey. So you can find my books on my website, TiffaniTeachey.com, TiffaniTeachey.com. And you can get autographed signed copies if you go to my website. And like I said, also, I have not only just that book, but I have it translated in Spanish, French, and Swahili, and I have it as a coloring activity book and in teacher's guide. And so check it out, and you can go to Amazon, Walmart, Target, and get them also on there. And then you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and they're all at Tiffani Teachey. And check me out.
All right. Well, and I love that you have it available in all the different languages, and that's that's excellent. And I didn't realize you had it in Walmart, so I definitely have to check that out and see if I can find it in Walmart, because that's amazing. Because you don't talk to too many people who have the opportunity to have their books in Walmart and other stores and stuff like that. So congratulations to you on that. Like I said, you are definitely doing your thing. So do you have anything that you would like to share? Do you have any upcoming events that you have, or other speaking engagements you'd like to share with the listeners?
Well, definitely, because the holidays coming, I am coming out with another book. It's specifically now I'm going to narrow down into different careers, and I'm going to definitely start out with the mechanical engineering. So look out for the next upcoming book coming before the holidays. So it's coming out in another month. So
all right,
definitely check that out. Yeah. So I've already got it ready to go. Just need to get ready to press the button and get the last little bit things done to it. So yeah,
awesome.
So check. That's what I have for now, and then also I'm planning on coming out with a course. So I can encourage more of these parents to do more activities with the kids. So the sky's the limit, but definitely check out my website. You'll definitely get more info to come, and sign up to get more info from there.
All right. Well, Tiffani, I have definitely enjoyed this conversation this evening. It's just been such a pleasure. And again, congratulations on your success and everything you've done. And so for everybody else, I hope you have enjoyed listening to our topic of discussion tonight, because I'm telling you to have somebody at this level talk about something so important as STEM careers and understanding the importance of it, and how it can represent our young people, and getting involved and really truly understanding why, you need to know about science, technology, or engineering and math. That is truly a good conversation to have with your kids. So sit down and just not talk to them about the normal stuff that we always talk about, but definitely allow them to reach out and do something that they want to do for them and not just for you. But at the end of the day, again, I ask you all to thank you for listening, and just say keep encouraging your young people in your life. And also, for those who are still trying to reach for those dreams, still need to figure out what those goals are, you can reach out and talk to me at Kimberly@WSBILC@gmail.com. Let's just have that chat, because, you can sit back and dream all day, but if you don't move forward, you're never going to get to where you want to be in life. And so, talking about it is great, but let's go ahead and make those goals a reality. And of course, if you want more of your resource for success, we accept monetary donations to support our podcast, and the Cash App information will be in the DM, or you can go directly to www.WSBILC.com to do your donation. Again, we would like to thank you all for listening to us tonight, but we will be back next week with more amazing guests. Be sure to follow us on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcast. But until then, enjoy the rest of your evening, and good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.WSBILLC.com, and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.